they've been finding in their tests. But the only bad part about that is, kind of leaves out the whole manual piece, right? So which found from source code analysis, which found from...
Well, that's the top 10. Like, I like the plan from Robert at the moment. Hopefully he could be able to do it. And his plan is to say, well, what we're going to do in the summit is to come up with basically come up with a model so that we can deliver every year, right? The 31st of January, every year there will be a top 10. So let's walk back from it. So if every year there needs to be a top 10, that means that on the second week of January, there needs to be a working session somewhere in the world for 3 days or 2 days where the whole thing is going to be decided, right, and written and ready for publishing. So that means that by December, you need to have all the data points and you need to have all the ideas, which means that by October, you need to start thinking about what's going to happen. So at the moment, we don't have that plan, which is why it doesn't get delivered. Because it's like, yeah, we should do a top 10. Yeah, cool. Anybody? It's like it doesn't really work like that. So that's one of the typical projects that the summit will help to make it operational, because you actually have a room with people that can come up with that. And then you touch on, for me, a very important point, which is, for me, the way we've done the seasons of code were literally like this. I'll get a budget from the board, I wrote some rules, which sort of stay the same, and then we basically said, who wants to do what? And stick it on a wiki. Like, okay, the last one, we already gave a page of ideas, but it was still basically, who wants to do what? You guys have a month, send your ideas, and we approve it. In fact, for the last two, we actually approved all of them, which is quite interesting, because I think it's already a self-control mechanism. But I don't want to do that for the next season of code. For the next season of code, what I want to do is to get all of those approved in Portugal. So what I want to do is to say, you guys are here, the reviewers are here, the project leaders are here, the teams are here, the problems are here, right? The clients who have the problems are here. You guys sort yourselves out. Here's a bunch of ideas that we think should be done, right? I want a proposal by the end of Wednesday or Thursday, and we're going to decide it on Friday. And that for me should be the model. And I think it could actually work, especially if you do this every 6 months. So you know that the summit is the place where you go, you bring your proposals, you bring your ideas, you help to define the thing, you find the team is committed, and you get it approved. It's great, it's faster, there's no faffing around, and it's a place to be. So for me, the path of getting things done, it's like you have an idea, you want to do it, come to the summit, organize it, prepare it, document it, and we'll approve it. And to be honest, my instinct is always anything that's decent and is well thought out and comes from somebody who does a track record. For me, I approve them all. There might be a budget issue in terms of, can we give you $2,000, $5,000, $10,000? But for me, I'm always the guy who's like, God, approve that one. Come on, let's do them all, right? But that's because that's the dynamics. But what we should be doing is approving the ones that match a particular, set of criteria that we, in some ways, that we can define. So one of the messages, going completely back to the beginning, the message is how can we make such a compelling case for people to come to the summit because they're going to meet all of these guys. And that's something that I actually got some interesting feedback. For the people that are outside of OWASP, it's almost like they really like the idea that they can meet all of these guys. So it's like, how do we actually make a message? How do we plan it? And and how do we expand all this? There you go. That's the courses. There's actually a Linux, a Flash security one. And again, right? You have more now, but it's like it's a bit like a scattergun approach. So we say that here's the course that we can offer, and then we can have a lot of more courses because we only run the courses that get people. So it's almost like we should be finding the courses that people really like, and then if nobody applies, we drop it. But I like the fact that there is almost like a very low barrier of entry. If you have an idea for a course, if you have an OWASP project, you should be able to do a course, and we should have a venue or almost like a platform for those things, to occur. So the working sessions, again, we're completely improvising all of this, right? Now there you go. We're trying to, in some ways, see, the way I view this is like, I think that OWASP has a lot of leverage capability that at the moment we're not using. And it's not like if we don't do it, a big thing is going to happen, a problem. It's just that it's a missed opportunity. And the reality is that time is ticking by. So if we don't do it, there doesn't seem anybody out there who's actually doing variation. So it's up to us. And there is a lot of projects. Like I think the browser is a great example because it sort of has all the elements. There's a lot of products or actions that are happening that commercial interests a lot of the time go ahead of the common good of having, for example, a secure browser that can sustain the things that should be done. And at the moment, the reality is that it's very easy for any of those big players to ignore Arsham or Arsenic or Jeff or any other guy because it's a unit of one. And it doesn't matter how big the guy is. It doesn't matter, right, how important he is. That might matter how much lip service they pay to you. That might matter how much they say they really care, how much they listen to you, how many meetings they have to you, but actually how much work is actually done for you, it's very little. Because it's easy for them because it's very simple, right? So you are Sun, right, on the HTTP only thing, right? So you look here and you have Fortune 500, you have customers all over the world, and they saying feature, speed, reliability, feature. Why haven't you done the first one? You're late. Oh, by the way, secure, feature, blah, blah, blah. I want to buy you all the stuff you're doing, yada, yada. Then you can go to this side, and there's a bunch of guys going, that's not good, you should do this. And then they look at it going, well, everything you want me to do costs money, takes time. In fact, you're going to piss off those guys because there's 2 features in there that are dependent on the fact that it's insecure, right? So then they go, okay, I'll do one you want. Which one do you want me to do? Okay, that little one. And then that'll keep you happy? Oh, okay, have more. Let's keep talking. When the reality is that we should be in the middle of it. But we are only going to be in the middle of it when we can turn around and say, hey, we have our own batch of big boys here. Right? And our own batch of big boys want this thing to happen. So I think that it's very easy for somebody to ignore an individual. My bet is going to be very hard to ignore OWASP. And it's going to be very hard to somebody ignore OWASP thinks that this should happen. And here are the pragmatic analysis of why something should happen. And here is a proof of concept of how that could happen. So here is, 1st of March 2009, here is what we think should happen, or 1st of October, or 1st of 6th of November, whatever. So, but at the moment, that doesn't happen. So it's very easy for people to ignore us because there is no past. And yeah, there's some talks, we talk, whatever, this is fuzzing around, and then nothing really gets done. So there's another year, and the problems are still the same. Like the simple fact that the top 10 hasn't changed, it's a massive failure. Because we should be, taking things off the top 10. So be okay, that went from being systemic across the board to a minor thing that people might do, but all the frameworks can actually support it, and it doesn't really have it by accident. So my bet is that the working groups, and come on, remember that this is just a warm-up, right, are our platform to drive change.
We're going to push for the top 10 every year. People that use the top 10, but you think we should enforce it to use the current one? For instance, PCI.
Yeah.
1.1. They're using the old version of the top 10. Okay? SANS, FBI, all of that. A lot of people still using the